Welcome back, boys and girls, to the very first video of 2025. Now, I've been in the markets for 8 years now. I've seen different cycles. I want to set you up for success this year. So, in regards to that, if you stay along, I promise by the end of this video, you will gain a lot more clarity on how to position yourself to capitalize coming into 2025, because we're moving into a different market cycle now. It's important that you're very clued up, and I'm going to teach you how to actually do that. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Now, I am involved in both a swing trade and an intraday trade on Euro shorts. So if you do stick along to the end, I will briefly go over that as well. But to start things off, we're going to dig into the DXY. This is where things get very interesting. And we're going to touch base with an extremely high time frame. And there's a reason for this. Now, we are just coming into a new year. It's important that we gain that clarity on what is happening already. So, what can we see? We're going to start off on a 12-month chart, and we're just going to look at things from a perspective of, it doesn't matter what strategy you trade, you can still follow these principles and learn how to capitalize. So overall, from in structure, we've got higher high, higher low, price comes up, forms a higher high. Don't be too worried about that wick. If we go to the 3 months, you can see it's still a very intentional break. That's all we're looking for. Now, what do we notice about last year? From a candlestick perspective, what do we notice about last year? Look at how impulsive that's closed. Now, it doesn't mean to say that this year has to be the same, but when you factor in the context of the situation, it does give us incredibly a lot more clarity on what can happen next. So the reason I'm saying that is we have on the quarterly chart, you can see this very impulsive leg to the upside. This was between 2021 and 2022. Then we've had this corrections, the pullback, completely different market cycle in here. Let's just mark this out. We're going to come back to this. Now we've bottomed out here. Roughly notice how we've touched into just below 50% of the range, and then we are expanding higher now. So it's a case of this swing high has failed to take out the previous swing low. So we understand now this is likely a weak high. Now, of course, it's a quarterly chart. This can take a long time to play out. However, overall, we understand the direction. So I'm expecting this phase here to be very expansive, and you can see it's already starting to form here. So when you back this with the context of the situation, that this is that pullback, essentially you just got to see this as a reload in price, the reaccumulation before we then push higher. So this is looking very, very nice. Then you factor in the macro approach that Trump is just coming into office. Price has been, basically been priced in ever since October, November. You can see what's happened up until the elections. Price comes lower into September, liquidates this previous inducement, protects the low, which means that this is now a weak high. Notice how we start to showcase very obvious intention just prior to the election. Why? It's priced in. So when everything's priced in, we understand what's happening next. Trump is about to come into office. There's a lot of momentum on the dollar-related pairs. This is time to capitalize. Now, in terms of market cycle, doesn't matter what strategy you trade. Of course, I'm trying to help you all basically succeed. So with this, let's have a look. This market cycle here, this is where you're going to get a lot of deeper pullbacks. So if your strategy is built around deeper pullbacks, etc., it's going to work very well in this period. However, you've got to understand that this phase here is completely different. For you to go into it with a black and white approach to think that we're going to see these deeper pullbacks in this leg is just completely naive. Obviously, if you're very mechanical with your strategy, of course, stick to it. My strategy is not mechanical. It's, we've got systems, it's very systemized, but you are allowed to lean into that fluidity when it's most important. And personally, I believe that is a skill set you need to master. Now, of course, deeper pullbacks, this is where you tend to get these, intraday moves that don't really run too much. Of course, you're going to get price that moves and stuff like that, but overall, these bigger market conditions come in during these impulsive, expansive phases that we're about to step into. So this is a completely different market environment to what happened in 2021, 2022. So if we just highlight this and we do the same thing here, you can see now, if we just look at this, how we are stepping into that impulsive market environment. So we've already had, 4 months of this coming into the 4th month. Expect this to continue. This is unbelievable price action, and this is where if you're dialed in and locked in, you can make a lot of money. Put it this way, if you've been learning to trade for 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, even 2 years, you're in a position right now where the next couple of years, the next 2-3 years, especially this year, could be phenomenal. It could be a great opportunity for you to make a lot of money. So be locked in and make sure you're focused. This is where systems, processes, routines need to be dialed in. This is where you should be maximizing your time. You don't want to be lazy. You don't want to be unproductive. Maximize this year every single day. If you fall off one day, don't worry about it. Don't be in that perfectionist mindset. Pick yourself back up. Don't beat yourself up, but maximize your time. So big expansive phase here. The only area that I'm paying attention to, of course, with that week high in place, we also have this monthly OB on the opposing end of the spectrum. Now, this is of course a counter trend. I'm expecting price to present a reaction away from this at some point, likely present a lot of sell side traps as well. But overall, this is an area we can pay attention to see what price happens. For example, we've just come into the year. This will likely form better on the daily chart. Let's go on the daily. We've just come into the new year. Let's just mark that in. So I'm marking that in here with the vertical line. What have we done? We've formed a false rally, which gives us very clear indication that we are now seeing that expansive phase overall, okay? So this looks incredible for more upside at this point. We've got to remember, order flow is bullish. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, etc. So expecting this to continue, gravitate towards this week high, but it's about what happens next. If, however, let's say, this is what I'm expecting to happen. Price to continue moving higher. At some point, we will of course see a deeper pullback. In that case, you obviously take that as a reload. We are likely to see, if we are going to take this high, we're likely to see a reaction that causes a lot of traps to the downside along the way. It's just how price moves. I've shown this in a previous YouTube video. It's about the concept of weak highs. So expect that to happen at some stage. If price is going to change around and go bearish, then this is what I'd expect to happen. Now, coming into the month, I expect this in Q1. I'd expect price to rally and then clearly form intention to the downside. If we do that, things have definitely changed at that point, because this clearly shows the highs to the left being protected. There's a good chance that we could see very much lower prices. I will be looking to play this momentum to the downside. But until that happens, I see the possibility and probability that this is going to continue higher. Now, in this phase, don't be expecting deeper pullbacks. Every now and then, we're going to get deeper pullbacks. But for the most part, you're going to see environments like we have here, where price just literally goes. So this is a time to completely capitalize. 1 hour chart as well. This looks incredible. And it's a case of order flow is bullish. We've formed potentially the low of the month already in the first few days of the month, expanded higher, and you can see it here. If you're always waiting for pullbacks, let's say you have an area here, this would still be an area I'd be interested in. However, it's understanding that we don't have to pull back. So here, you can see up until NFP, we've got a lot of liquidity being stacked. Price fails to pull back essentially, but there's opportunities in here to then take advantage of the move. So if there wasn't NFP in the way. So it's a case of just waiting for these shallow pullbacks to take advantage of the move. Same thing here. I marked out this, understanding the fact that coming into the week, which I was breaking down on the market breakdown inside Envision, is that we may not see that. We may just see little shallow pullbacks for price to continue. So you need to understand how to capitalize from that. So overall, that looks great. Let's now take a look at Eurodollar. Now, Eurodollar is of course the inverse correlation to the DXY. So based on what we've covered, there's no need to go super in detail with this, but overall, showing the same picture, just on the opposite end of the spectrum. So we've got clear swing low, price fails within this pullback to break the previous swing high. Essentially, we top out, you can see completely different market cycle within this region to what is now happening here. You can see the expansive period coming into action. This is where, once again, paying attention to see how price reacts from this. I do think we are likely to see some form of reaction from a monthly standpoint, but that doesn't need to take place right now. Plus, if you're always waiting for that reaction to take place as price is approaching, there's going to be so many sells in this leg that you miss out on, and then it's a case where we may not even see reaction until we get halfway into the leg, into this OB, and then even in regard to that, it could just be a deeper pullback and then price continues. So you can't be waiting around for price to tap into that. There are so many opportunities to capitalize on during that leg itself. This is what I'm trying to get you to think like. Looking on the daily chart, we can see the order flow is very much being respected here. We can see we've tried to break higher, failed to do so, reacted before breaking. Price is still protected, order flow here. And even coming into the year, you know, this is not just hindsight. I was looking at this towards the start of the year. I did an end of year webinar with the Envision Markets members, and I was saying, if we see a false rally, price tap into this region, looking for shorts out of this area. And then all of a sudden, what we in here, I'm in a short. So just to back this up, as you can see, I'm in a short here, and I'm also in another short here. So this is just on Think Capital. Think Capital, I believe, is one of the best prop firms in 2025. It's broker backed. They've been in the markets for 14 plus years with Think Markets, and they're very credible, and I back them 100%. I think the prop firm space is very much a house of cards. I've talked about this. I don't trust 99% of the prop firms out there. This is something that I'm using myself. I'm currently in a challenge phase on this, and overall, I do love them. So if you were wanting to get involved in prop firms, of course, I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. Your number one focus should be prioritizing personal capital, but prop firms can be a good way to obviously use that as a vehicle moving forward. However, if you're going to do prop firms, make sure it's with a credible one. You don't want to be going with it just because it's got an attractive offer or because it's got a great discount. There's no point, because those are the type of prop firms that will be not here tomorrow. So make sure you are smart with your decisions, and I think Capital is the way to go. I highly recommend checking it out. Link will be down in the description below, and it will allow you a discount on this as well. So overall, check it out. Let me know what you think, and join me in the challenge phase. But overall, I'm in this trade. I'm also in a trade here, and it's a case of, if you understand how these concepts interline with each other, you can really make a serious amount of money, as long as you obviously have your own personal capital and as long as you have things in place. But providing you do so, you could have a phenomenal year. And like I said, there's no excuses to say, I can't trade, I've got a 9-to-5 job, or I can't trade, I've got a busy family life. You can. We've literally got it set up inside Envision Mastery so that you can capitalize on higher time frame trades. Same style, nothing changes, same entry model. You're protected by ProTrend, you're protected by a number of things. You have the potential to make a lot of money if you do that. Of course, I'm not turning a blind eye to this. This is why I'll be doing this alongside my normal entries. Higher time frame approach is a great way to maximize what you're already doing. So fantastic way. If you've got a 9-to-5 job, you think you can't trade, trust me, you can if you prioritize it. There's a simple solution for you, and it's all inside Envision Mastery for you. So that trade is still running. Of course, I've got lower time frame leg. This is what I was talking about. If I just rein this back in here, see, the difference is, I understood, and the Envision members understood, that in normal market environments, you could have been waiting for pullbacks into this area. We've even got, this area as well. People are waiting for these natural pullbacks, but the thing is, we're not going to be seeing them. Why? Because the market cycle is completely different. So you need to understand and have the tools to be able to capitalize. Same thing here. We expanded lower, understood the high of the day was here. We've pushed lower, this was London high, we pulled back for a New York continuation. I understand we're not going to be pulling back into these regions here. So me, wanting to capitalize, took this trade, and of course, running nicely here. This is just an intraday trade with the focus on building a buffer for the year, so my target will be the swing low, but for the swing target, this will be being held. So it's a case where you need to understand how to capitalize, and then once you've got the tools and the people around you, you can make a lot of money this year if you're equipped to do so. So overall, hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you've actually taken some value away from this and actually had to think about, okay, I've got a different strategy, or I've got a different approach. However, I can still use that mindset, I can still use that way of thinking to make sure that I'm not waiting for these deeper pullbacks. I can still capitalize and get involved in these moves and make a lot of money as a side effect as well. So overall, hope you enjoyed that. There'll be a new video out soon as well. Speak to you soon.